My name is Rena Cooper. I hail from outside the great city of Chicago, Illinois, inside the United States of America.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Herstory TV and the Herstory podcast. This is Gertrude Macha here in beautiful Wellington, New Zealand. Today, I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating lady coming to us all the way from the United States. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Hello. How are you?
Tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Okay, well, thank you so much for this opportunity, Miss Gertrude. I'm really honored. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. I'm blessed. My name is Rena Cooper. I hail from outside the great city of Chicago, Illinois, inside the United States of America. I am a 15-year domestic abuse survivor and a 4-time suicide attempt survivor, and I was gunned down 4 times. But as she said, we were just laughing and talking. I just celebrated my 50th birthday last week. So I'm excited to be walking into that milestone of an age. I'm excited to be here at 50. Didn't think I would make it at one point in time, but I'm here and I don't look like what I've been through. So that's exciting to say. So I'm just somebody who I love to share my story because in sharing my story, I believe that it will help so many. And it has helped so many in the short period of time that I've been sharing it. So I have a non-for-profit organization called For My Voice Matters, which is advocates against domestic violence and suicide prevention.
So let's go back to that turning point in your life where something happened. Describe the day, what you were doing. Yeah, unpack that day for us so we can really get the full magnitude of your story.
Okay, so the kind of the story that's gotten me here is not just the abuse, but the miracle of me surviving being shot. So on that particular day, it was December 28th of 2008. I was coming home from a church service. It was going to be the last church service of the year. It was a Sunday evening for this particular ministry. They were not going to have a New Year's Eve service. So this Sunday was their last day to fellowship together. And I was invited by my best friend and her husband, who were pastors at that time. And so I went. And after service was over with, I was coming home and I was going into 2009. I had just filed for divorce from my ex-husband, well, now my ex-husband and my abuser. And so I was just driving home, just kind of contemplating and thinking like, I just left church service. I was kind of in a funk trying to figure out how I was going to go into 2009 being single, going through a divorce because I had just started the process, trying to change my life because I did not get an opportunity to actually move into my own place. So I had to move back home from my parents. So I was trying to figure out how long I was going to be with them. What did I need to do? How much this divorce was going to cost and things like that. And when I got home, or to my parents' house, I pulled into our driveway, and in the Chicagoland area, we have what they call bungalow style homes. So the driveway is located to the south side of the house. And I got out of my vehicle and I was walking towards the porch, and then I saw someone come from behind a tree. Now, mind you, my neighborhood, like I said, is a suburb of Chicago, and it's a very quiet neighborhood. Hardly any crime, if any. Last time I remembered anything happening, a neighbor, which actually was my aunt and uncle, their house was broken into like some 4 or 5, maybe even 6 years before. And they just took a few items. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was injured. And that was like the gist of our neighborhood, nothing major. So when I seen this person, I didn't necessarily feel frightened at first because I had a next door neighbor who had company rather often. So I thought maybe they were mistaking my house for hers and he was going to say something to me, but he never did. So when I got closer to my steps and I realized he did not acknowledge me, he was on a cell phone at one point in time, and then he put the cell phone in his pocket. And then he just kept walking on my angle, but he didn't like greet me. He didn't say, hey, can I help you? And again, mind you, it's like 10:20 something, 10:30 at night. It's wintertime, so it's dark, it's dismal, cold. There was snow on the ground. And I decided that this just seemed kind of suspect to me. So I decided to turn around and go back to my vehicle. And in my mind, I'm thinking, because I had no way of actually, even though I had a phone in my hand, I didn't want to make it obvious. So I had no way of actually calling into my home to alert my parents and my sister and my nephews that were inside that, something might be going on out here. And I thought also that if I got a chance and got to the door, if it was a robbery, that he may force me inside, and not only would I be hurt, but then I've endangered everybody in my house. So I'm thinking more safely, not necessarily thinking that anything per se was going to happen to me, but I wanted to be able to get to a place of safety. So I decided to turn back around, and I was going back to my vehicle. Now in my mind, I thought, okay, well, I'm getting my vehicle, and one or two things going to happen. I'll get a chance to call the police, or I'm going to run him over if he decided to try to do anything. When I got back halfway to my vehicle, probably about, I'll say a good 10 to 15 feet from the vehicle, maybe a little closer, the person called me out of my name, and they told me not to move. So when I actually turned to face the person, they had a pistol in their hand, and they looked at me. They didn't say anything else. I saw two of the coldest eyes I ever seen in my life. The assailant was approximately 6'1", 6'2" in height, between 6 feet and 6'2". He was caramel complected, had on like winter gear. So he had like a bomber jacket, some like pants, jeans or something like that, a hoodie, and a skull cap. So I remember those things about him. But the one thing that I did remember most about him was how dark his eyes were. And it wasn't because we were outside at night. So, sometimes even at night, we could see people's pupils from street lights, color, things like that. They just seemed like they were very cold and dismal and dark. So I didn't move. I didn't carry a purse at the time. All I had in my hand was like a pocket Bible, my keys to my vehicle, and my cell phone. Because I had a trauma when I was 16. I had my purse snatched. So I've always been a woman who, if I carried a purse, there would be nothing in the purse anyway, for fear that it would get taken from me. So I kept all of my valuables, as my grandmother used to say, in my city vault. So I didn't have anything that he would like actually physically see to take from me, other than the vehicle. And I was ready to give up the keys. That wasn't a problem. But again, like I said, he called me out my name, and he really didn't, he said, don't move. And he didn't say anything else. And then I seen him cock the pistol. So now I'm thinking, well, I'm not resisting. You didn't ask me for anything. So I'm afraid for my life. So like most people do when they're scared, they run. So I turned to my right to run to the porch. And I think I might have yelled then. I'm not really sure. I can't really recall that part. But the first bullet hit me in my left side, right, like lower back mid, like kind of by the kidney area. If you think about your back part, it's like kidney area. And I believe that's the bullet that hit my spinal cord, because I remember falling and not feeling anything after that. The assailant then came over me and stood over me, and shot me 3 more times and walked away. So I never lost consciousness. I was able to scream for my life. My mother heard me from the back of the house. She sent my sister out to assist me. I'll give you one little funny tidbit to kind of lighten the mood before I tell the rest of the story. But my sister makes me laugh all the time, because when I sat there, I had made peace with God. I was like, okay, if I go, I go. And she's like, you're going to live, you're going to live. But my nephew at the time, who is now, I believe Jonathan's probably, I gotta say, he's probably like 26 now, 25 or 26. So around this time, he was probably like 11 or 12, roughly. And when she got outside, she seen me in the grass. She was like, John, call 911. He said, okay, Mom, I'm going to call. What's the number? So, so we're able to laugh like that about it now. But of course, back then it was so much more serious. But between the time that I laid on the ground, I think there were probably about at least 7 or 8 phone calls to 911, which is our emergency system here in the United States, from like 7 or 8, like 4, 5, 7 to different neighbors. They got the call all within a span of a minute. And I can't tell you how long it took for the ambulance to get there. It felt like an eternity. But like I said, my sister was sitting there holding me in the cold. I couldn't feel anything from the waist down. But I had made my peace with God. I was like, okay, if it's my time, it's my time. There's really nothing I could do about it. But she spoke life. She prayed over me and everything. I got into the ambulance. I crack jokes about it because I got into it with the ambulance person because he got my age wrong at the time. I told him I was 37, going to be 38. He told the hospital that I was coming in that I was a GSW victim and that I was 35 years old. And I yelled, I'm like, didn't I tell you how old I was? I mean, if I'm going to die, at least tell them my right age. So my sister was like, hush. And then the ambulance driver, I promise you, hit like every pothole, every major street hole from here to the local hospital, which was only like a 5-minute ride. My testimony and just being a survivor of that is this. I was in surgery for 4.5 hours. I did not lose consciousness until they put me under. I found out later on, and I have the documentation to prove it, that one was an in and out, one bullet was an in and out, one grazed somewhere on my back, on my lower back, which I still have the scars for that part. And then two ricocheted off of every organ in my body except for my heart. So every organ you can think of, from a kidney to an intestine to a liver to a diaphragm, was hit. My lungs, they collapsed on the operating table where they had to insert chest tubes, and it collapsed so much during the part of surgery when they were trying to repair some organs was that they had to close me up for fear that I was going to die. I think I coded once on the table as well, and they left 2 bullets inside of me. Those 2 bullets did eventually gravitate to my side, where I went in for a minor surgery and had them removed. But I was paralyzed for 2.5 days. Why? Because one of the bullets put the size of a quarter in my 12th vertebrae and nicked my spinal cord. If it would have been like a hair to the right or to the left, it would have severed it. Then I probably would have been permanently paralyzed. So, but the miracle comes in, whereas I was paralyzed for 2.5 days. I was up walking by the 5th day, and they kicked me out of the good old hospital by the 8th day and sent me home to recuperate at my mom's house. So with that being said, I always give God all the honor and the glory, because it's not by happenstance that I was selected, even though I ask him why all the time, why I was selected for such a time as this, and why he spared my life. I mean, we know people, and I'm quite sure, Ms. Gertrude, you've probably heard, even if you don't know anybody personally, on the news with the violence that is taking over the world. One person can get shot by 1 bullet and they don't make it. Yeah. Person gets shot by 2 or 3 bullets, they don't make it. My sister started calling me quarter cent after the US rapper 50 Cent, because he was shot several times. I think he was shot like 9 or 10 times, and he survived. I wasn't shot as many times as he was, so she gave me half of his name just to make a joke out of it. But
I love the way you laugh at this and keep it light.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. My nose kind of allergies. Excuse me. You know what, Miss Gertrude, I have to. Now, don't get me wrong. I do have trigger moments. I do have times when there may have be some times that I mean, not so much lately, but I will say there were times in the past where I would have trigger moments. I couldn't go out at night after a certain time. And sometimes it's still because I had to move back home, take care of my father. So I'm back at the house where I was shot at. So sometimes in the middle of winter, when it gets dark earlier, it's cold outside, it triggers me to whereas I have to move, or I'll move quickly, or I'll sit in the car and I'll get on the phone with someone so they can walk me in the house. For years, when my mom was alive and I was here, or I would visit, or because I had to live here for a while after I was shot to go through my divorce and everything, my mom would meet me at the door, or my dad would meet me at the door, or I wouldn't go out at night by myself. So my sister would either, if we were going to get something, my sister would have to go with me, or my best friends would come get me. And so it took a while to get to this point. I got some relief when I finally moved from my parents' house, and I didn't come back as often to visit, even though we didn't live that close. It was kind of hard for me. As much as I know I need to come see my mom, my dad, I try to keep my visits to maybe once a week, once every week and a half, and they would be no longer than maybe an hour visit, only because it triggered me. So it was hard for me. I guess now I could laugh because why? One, I'm still here. There's no sense of me still being sad about it. There's no sense of me being, what's the word, miserable, making myself sad, because it's not going to help anybody. If I could show somebody just a little bit of hope, and the fact being that I survived something as traumatic as that no matter what they go through, the saying is true. Someone is worse off than you.
Mm.
Somebody's been through something worse than you have. And if I can smile about it, if I could crack a joke about it, as serious as it was now, don't get me wrong, it's a very serious subject. But, when you tell somebody a story, when we tell people our stories, we tell them to show that there's hope behind it. But if I'm constantly like, oh my God, I was shot. Yeah, it was depressing. Yeah. Who's gonna want to keep listening to me? Who's gonna want to just like, oh yeah, well, she's just telling her story again. She's boring. She's not lively. I don't want to hear, I don't need another dull story. I don't need anything that's gonna be sad and dramatic. I don't need to hear the doom and gloom. I need to let them know that there's life after, and in their life after, they can thrive in it. They can make a honest comeback. And
You
I just really
certainly
believe.
did make an honest comeback. It's just amazing what you have done with your life.
I've tried.
Absolutely amazing. Wow. So, what would you say? I don't even know where to start. What would you say you learned from this experience? Three nuggets of wisdom that you got from this.
Ooh, um, it's always darkest before the dawn. Because I think probably that was probably pretty much once I had to go back into the workforce. I think I hit some of the darkest points in my life, and I had to learn how to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always darkest before the dawn. Two, especially women of color, we have a hard time because we learn or we're taught that we're strong. We've also taught in households, at least in America, we're taught that what happens in our household stay in our household. We shouldn't talk about our business outside of our households. But my biggest thing that I took out of it is that therapy is real and it's a necessity. It's not something, I promise you, as much as I talk to people now, as much as I coach people now and help them through, I'm still not licensed to do anything. I coach you through my own experiences, and sometimes my experiences is better than dealing with a therapist, but I still recommend a therapist because
Right.
they do clinical things that I have no knowledge of. They do clinical things that will help you get through. Even those doctors that can prescribe medication, because I'm not for medication because medication has side effects. But at the same time, when I first came through this, I had to be medicated. There were certain anxieties that I had that I just could not control, like not sleeping at night. And when you don't sleep for, I mean, like literally, like I'd be up for 72 hours like this. And when you don't sleep, your body needs that rest. And when you don't sleep and all of a sudden it starts catching up to you, you have what they call a manic attack. And the mania is you sleep, you're up for so many hours, but then all of a sudden it's like you crash. And when I say crash, it's like also it's for me, it goes from being up and being alert, like there's like I've been asleep, like I've had my rest, to I could be behind the wheel of my car and I'm like a narcolepsy. I could just like kind of nod off with because it just hits you all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So therapy and medication are also very good points. And let's see, third nugget, walking your truth. It's okay not to be okay, but it's what you do with you not being okay is what hinders you or hurts you. If you tell somebody you're not okay, you can explain why you're not okay.
Yes.
Or even if you can't explain it, but you allow somebody to help you walk through the process to figure out what the triggers are, to figure out how you can get through it, then eventually you'll be okay, at least just to get through this point. Excuse me, I'm also someone who always believes too, and I think we had this conversation when we first met. I'm a firm believer that people don't get over it. I don't like people to say, you'll get over it, you'll be okay. It just takes time. Some things never go away. And I attribute it to like death. You could lose a loved one and you could have been the best to that loved one, that you don't have no regrets about anything, but it's still a death, it's still a loss. And at any given moment in your life, 2 months, 5 months, 2 years, 20 years, if a triggered date, anniversary, something that you see that they did, something that you like, a picture, if it triggers you and it plays with your emotions, you're gonna be emotional and you still gonna do. So time doesn't necessarily heal all wounds.
No,
That's not a good cliche for me. So those, I guess, the three nuggets.
wow. Well, I love what you have done with your life. You haven't let it define the rest of your life because for a lot of people, these are defining moments that can either make you or break you.
Yes.
What I'm hearing is that you have come out stronger because of it. Just incredible to listen to your story, and I really thank you for coming online and sharing with us today.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm glad that I saw um, her story, the page, and I'm glad that I was able to connect with you. The opportunities that I've had just by happenstance, just to be connected with you, have been awesome. Who knew? Is what I always say. You know what's going to happen. I'm just honored. I'm honored with what God is doing. I'm honored for the international platform. I took opportunities myself to speak internationally in 2 countries. Um, I spoke in Mexico in 19. I also spoke in Jamaica in 20, and I spoke in Jamaica last week for my birthday. So
Oh, wow.
whenever the opportunity arises, if I could take the opportunity, I'm going to take it and run with it because you never know whose life you may impact or
Yes.
change or give them hope for tomorrow.
And that's what it's all about. The sharing of stories is that other person. Share them so we can impact and change lives. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm looking
Thank
forward
you.
to reconnecting with you. You'll be running a workshop during the summit as well, correct?
I that's what you told me.
Yes.
I'm honored to. Yes, I'm honored to. I don't. I just need to make sure I got the right dates and get myself together. But yes, I'm honored to.
Sounds
I'm honored
good.
to run a workshop. It's gonna be awesome.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. I told you we have the most amazing women on this platform. Tune in again tomorrow. If you haven't registered to attend the summit, it's the
Please register.
herstorycircle.com. Register. And if you want to speak, do register as well to be a speaker. We're always looking for speakers for other upcoming events. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm honored. It's my honor and my privilege to be here. I'm so flabbergasted and I'm humbled. Thank you.
Have an amazing day, everybody. Bye for now.